Okay, so those of you are sitting quietly. Be quiet. Okay, so this is in standard form. See how we have ax squared plus bx plus c? That is standard form. So this is in standard form. We're going to have other forms this week. We're going to talk about factored form, and we're also going to talk about vertex form. We're going to graph in all three of those forms. So we start out when we have something like this. We did some of this on Friday. Today we're going to have some harder ones in here. How do we start to graph this? We use our formula, right? What's that formula for our axis of symmetry? Negative b over 2a. So b on this one is 2, so it's negative 2, and then what's a? Ladies, I can't have you doing that. You're taking a test. And a is a negative 1, so this is negative 2 over negative 2, which is 1. So now how do we find our y value of our vertex? Yeah, we substitute it into the equation. So we have y equals, now pay attention here. I'm going to put the letter in as blue. So we're substituting a 1 in there for the x. Friday.
Friday?
Yep. So, negative 1 squared. What is negative 1 squared equal to?
Wow. It's 1 plus 2.
It's not 1.
Negative 1.
It is negative 1 because what is x? X is just 1. So we are squaring the 1, and then we are taking the opposite of that. So that's why I put this today, because it's tricky. So this is going to be a negative 1. Any other questions on how that is equal to a negative 1? So y is 1, or x is 1. So we substituted 1 in for x. So we're only squaring the 1. If there was a parentheses around that negative 1, and we were squaring the negative 1, then it would be positive 1. But the x is not negative 1, it's 1. So we only square the 1. And so then we get plus 2 plus 3, which equals 4. So our vertex has an x value of 1 and a y value of 4. So my axis of symmetry is a vertical line that goes through that. So what is the equation of the axis of symmetry, AOS? It is a line. You're right, it's something equals to 1. What's equal to 1? X equals 1 because it's a vertical line. Okay? If we need to be able to graph that, it's a graph. So we cannot just graph the number 1. There's nothing to even graph when we say 1 is our axis of symmetry. That would be a point. It's a line. So we have to have a line which is x equals 1. Does that make sense? Okay, so we want to find another point. And do you remember what we did to find our other point?
Y equals 0.
Yep, so our y-intercept. So we're going to take our equation and put a 0 in for x. What do we get when we substitute a 0 in there? 3, yeah. So 0, 3 is my y-intercept. And so now I'm going to use that axis of symmetry and reflect that point over that line. So this is 1 to the left, so I go, how do I find my other point? 1 to the right. So my graph looks like this. Let me draw this other side again. Very well. Okay, so we have our y-intercept, and then our helping point, or our third point, is the point that we found by reflecting this point over the line. So this point right here, which has coordinates of what? 2, 3. So what's new today also is we're going to find the domain and range. We're going to put that in interval notation. So what is our domain? Well, first of all, domain is x values or y values? X's. So what would be our domain of this graph, this parabola? We have a lot of values there, don't we? Okay, let's give it in interval notation. Like that, Dexter? So something with what you were saying there, Preston? So on the left here, this is an arrow that is going down, is most obvious, but it's also going out at the same time. It's just slowly going out. So it's slowly going out and covering all of the x values up to -infinity. And then over here, same thing. It's going down, but at the same time, ladies, at the same time, what's happening? It's going to the right and going towards infinity. So it's -infinity to infinity. So what is my range? Y values? So we want to go small, large, smaller to largest.
100%.
So right idea, but what would come first, the -infinity or the 4? Yes, so we want to do the smaller. So down here, this is -infinity up to this y value, which is a 4. So on the 4, do we put a parentheses or a bracket? Bracket, because it includes the 4. But a bit, since we did that, it's going to be in your final, so it's good for us to review it. Okay, let's do another one. So what's different on this one? What's a little bit different than the half? We've got a fraction F word there. So we want to do the -b over 2a. So somebody in this group.
Yeah.
So what's my b and what's my a?
B's 4.
So it would be -4 over 2 times 1/2. Does that make sense what we did there? So you can't get anywhere until you can figure out how to put those in. So now we're going to simplify. We're going to simplify the bottom. 2 times 1/2. We do over here on the side. 2 over 1 times 1 over 2. So that would be 2 over 2, which equals 1. So this is -4 over 1, which is -4. What do we do next then? Well, what do we do next? Find our y value of our vertex. Yep. So 1/2 times -4 squared plus 4 times -4 plus 2. Now, when we're computing this, 1/2 times -4 squared, do we do the exponent first or do we do the multiplication first?
Oh no, that's one.
Exponent, because of order of operations, we do that exponent first. So this gives us 16. Half of 16 is 8. So 8 minus 16 plus 2, which adds to -6. So our vertex has an x value of -4 and a y value of -6. So -4, -6. And then we get a line of symmetry What is our equation for our axis of symmetry? Somebody in this group here. And then we need to have something in front of that for an equation. X equals -4. Good. So x equals -4 is our axis of symmetry. And now we need to find another point. So we're going to find our y-intercept. And to do that, we substitute 0 into our equation. So we have y equals 1/2 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0 plus 2. So now we want to simplify that. And some of you do that in your head. That's great. I don't have a problem with that. I love that. And then what does this equal when we simplify it? This is 0. This is 0. This is 2. So it's 2. So 0, 2 is our y-intercept. And then we want to do what to find our third point? Reflect it over that axis of symmetry. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. We go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. Make it curved, not pointy. So there's our graph, and then we need to find the domain and range. This group back there, what's the domain? That's good. -infinity to infinity. Questions on that? -infinity to infinity. So this arrow is going up, but at the same time going out to the left. And this arrow is going up at the same time going out to the right. So we're covering from -infinity to infinity. And then what's my range? The same group. Do we have a low point for our range?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the y value there at that point? Yeah, so -6. So we're going to go, our range is going to be -6 and going up into infinity. Does that make sense? So we put the small ones on the left and the largest on the right. That's when we do it in interval notation, it has to be small. Uh-huh. So go ahead and do the last one. Find the vertex and graph it. Find the domain range.
Okay, so we're going to start with this. 2.
Oh.
Huh?
We can do the x equals -b over 2a. It's on the board. What about this?
No, I can do it now. So are you
Yeah.
what would you do today?
No, what about that one? Where'd you get squared?
I just asked you to square.
Hey, -1 times 2. Where are you getting domain of range? This is the last part. Did you get 5? That's the one thing you got. 2. So it's domain.
I told the
X equals
formula that
3.
you gave me.
X equals 2.
Just these are
So
just
what happens if you
check.
What?
A, B, C. That goes right there. goes right here. What about you see where the V goes? So what is this?
Yeah.
I was right.
That's the one doing domain arrangement. Domain range. So what happened? I saw that last week. Exactly. I was 2 minutes over.
Oh. Nice.
It's all that one. It's just common. You said that out loud. Still feel the form of lucky boy. Going so loud. Who else is winning? Who else? What? Doubling down. Yes, I know it's a lot.
Mustafa gave it to me because I finished the notes earlier.
If A is positive, what direction does the parabola face?
Oh, it's increasing.
If A is positive, what direction does it face? Upward, that's right. So that can help you when you're graphing it to make sure you've done it right.